Welcome, straight into it. So today I wanted to do kind of a bit more of a project. I wanted to experiment a little bit. And I had this idea of doing this Magikarp inspired trinket dish. And I wanted to use glass for the first time on my ceramics, so that's what we're doing today. Yeah, getting straight into it. So we are flattening out this piece of white clay, and then I'm using this template that I had for a butter dish, and basically just like carving around it slightly bigger because I want the trinket dish to be slightly bigger than a butter dish bottom. Um, so that's what we're doing here, I guess. And then I'm just smoothing out the clay, making sure it doesn't have any of the canvas marks from flattening it out. And then I'm cutting out some lovely little, I don't know what these are called, feet for the bottom. So I want the trinket dish to stand up a little bit from your desk. So I wanted to add some feet on the bottom here. I'm going to upturn these edges in a minute, which you'll see. So I'm making sure that the feet are slightly indented onto the bottom of this trinket dish, so there's space to upturn the edges and it still look neat and pretty. Also, with ceramics, I guess it's similar to like air dry clay, where you need to slip and score everything when you attach it, else the clay just breaks off each other, it doesn't attach properly. So I spend a bit of time smoothing these out. I prefer a bit more of a natural look where it looks like the foot rings or the foot, whatever they're called, is more attached to the piece or sort of blended into the piece. So you can see how much prettier they are now whilst I stamp my beautiful little froggy stamp into the bottom. So now I've done the base of the trinket dish, we move on to our point of interest, the most important thing on this trinket dish, the Magikarp themselves. So I'm making two Magikarp. This clay is really groggy, so this was really difficult to like slip and score and smooth out and put together. But I just started with a little base of the body and started attaching his fins. Not entirely sure what those are called. And then I started attaching, well, a different one, I guess, this body thing which looks kind of sus, not gonna lie. But yeah, I just made these Magikarp by attaching bits, picking, prodding, smoothing, and just looking up references. I've only done half the Magikarp because I want them to look like they are swimming in water, which is what the glass is hopefully going to do. So I only needed the top half because the bottom half is going to be like under the water, hopefully. We'll see how it looks at the end. So yeah, I started making the fins and attaching those, which was really difficult actually. This clay was not easy to work with. I usually use very smooth white clay, and this was just very groggy white clay, which was pretty intense, but we made it work. So here I am attaching his lovely, luscious mouth. What a good guy he is. So once the Magikarp are ready to be put on, I've let this clay harden up a little bit so it's slightly firmer. And now I can start the long, slow process of upturning the edges. You need to be really slow and gentle with this, else you risk breaking the clay basically. So I've just sped this section up so you do not have to worry about watching that for ages. And then the same as we did with the feet, you gotta slip and score and get these little suckers on. So I'm just gently placing them on and making sure that they are well attached. These are prone to like break off, especially that tail. Oh my god, that was like really thin and shouldn't even survive, but whatever. I then went to move the camera and dropped it on the piece, which left this really nice dent. which I did end up smoothing out, but you can see it on the corner there. That was not good of me, and I should have remade it, but I didn't. And that's just something you guys are going to have to deal with. Once the piece was fully dry, I then went back and started the process of painting it. If you've ever painted pottery with underglaze, it's quite tedious. You have to do at least 3 layers of colour to get like a solid opaque colour without streaks. So doing all these details in 3 layers was quite the workout. It took a while. But we used this lovely orange, and I found the perfect yellow. And then I also, even though it's white clay, I put white on the details just to make them pop a bit more and have a bit more of an even colour. So yeah, these Magikarp took a little while to paint. It was fun though, I enjoyed it. We're then going to add a little bit of pink inside his mouth and a lighter pink on his lips, which is a 10 out of 10. I then did the details off camera because honestly I had to get up so close you wouldn't have been able to see it anyway. My big fat head would have been in the way. But I think they look super cute. So they went into the bisque, and I'll tell you now, disaster struck. Okay, someone's piece in the kiln exploded. In turn, my piece got caught in the crossfire, and honestly, it was a little bit heartbreaking. I had spent a while painting. Usually I paint after the bisque, but I painted before for some reason, and look, just absolutely smashed. Their poor little fins, and the whole thing broke. Which is fine, accidents happen, but yeah, a little bit heartbreaking after that impeccable paint job. So we started again, and now you can watch me speed through remaking this, which was another couple of hours of my life. But let's look at some positives here. I managed to rectify a few of the things that I wanted to do in the first piece so I could improve upon it. For example, those little tendrils, I don't know what they're called. I added those in 3D on the piece because I thought that would be slightly better. And I did not paint it this time. I waited till it came out the bisque. Look at that, beautiful. And the tail stayed on with a small crack, but it's fine. So now I'm going to paint this guy, now that I know it's survived. And I'm just going to paint it the same colours, so I'm skipped through that because you've already seen that. It's boring. You don't want to see that again. I think the paint job this time was much better though. Look at that. Perfect. Beautiful. The little guy, bit creepy. Oh yes, and I really safely smashed up some glass that I found at the charity shop in my back garden with a hammer. I did wear gloves. I was safe. And I put it in newspaper and in a bag. So, you know, safety first. But yeah, I wanted blue glass because I wanted it to look like water. And that's what we got here. And I got a nice jar full of blue glass, which I'm going to put in the trinket dish. Firstly, I'm painting it in a clear glaze on the bottom because I wanted it to be clear basically all the way around, or shiny, and around the edges here. And then I'm going to go in with this turquoise blue colour. I wasn't sure if the blue glass was going to be enough and look blue enough with the white clay as the background, so I decided to put a turquoise blue on the dish as the background, just to give it a bit more depth and colour. But again, with ceramics, this needed like 2 or 3 coats, so it took a little while to paint the entire thing, but in the end I think it was worth it. I also used a little brush here just to get into the details because I didn't want to get any of the glaze on the Magikarp themselves. I was then a genius and I forgot to film putting the glass on, but I attempted some sort of pattern with this glass to make it look good. and hopefully it works out. The final glazing step for this is to put some clear glaze on the Magikarp so that they come out looking all glossy and shiny. This does look very suspect, I am aware of that, but you gotta do what you gotta do, guys. So here it is all dry on the shelf, ready to go in the kiln. At this point, I had lost my mind a little bit, so for some reason I was telling you that that was going to go in there, and then I just got a bit excited about it. So yeah. Then after the worst drum roll ever, we see a broken trinket dish! Woo! Yeah, I don't know what happened here. The edge, like, just broke off. Yeah, again, ceramics, it happens. I was experimenting, but slightly heartbroken about that. But it's okay. Someone lent me some Gorilla Glue and I stuck the corner back on. So there, you can see what it will look like with the corner back on. Beautiful. The turquoise blue came out kind of green and swampy-like, but I don't mind it. It looks like water. The glass came out beautiful, crackly. Look at that. Oh my god, that looks like some riptide currents. And for some reason the glass sort of crawled up the Magikarp, which I wasn't too sure of. But all in all, it's a working, smooth trinket dish, and I'm very proud of it. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this trinket dish, and let me know what you want me to try next. See you soon.